This is Wozedu with the gorgeous Alice Wood. How are you?
I'm very well, Curly. Nice to meet you.
You too. You're looking absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, a little work goes into it, but thank you. I appreciate it.
When you answered the door, I was like, wow, in your gorgeous dress. Stunning.
Thank you very much. Well, it's part of my work wear. It's a colour I like to wear, especially, if I'm meeting people. So, yeah, thank you very much.
And colour's important.
Colours are very important. My business is all about business branding, and I help women, I say, find a voice for their business. And part of that is actually what you wear and your personal, brand and how you come across. So for me, red is a color that I feel very comfortable with. And so, yeah, thank you very much. Had the desired effect. So thanks.
Exactly, an impact. Yeah. So today, what I want to do is really find out about how you've got to where you are today. Okay. Where did it all begin? Like, did you go to school, university, college?
Yeah. Well, I went to school, and I was born in California, and I went to high school, but didn't go to university. And really, in those days, I have to say, I didn't really enjoy school very much. I got very bored with it, and I wanted to be out in the world and, just kind of I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do, but I didn't really think that university was the path to wherever I wanted to go. And I don't necessarily regret that decision, but I think it would have been good, actually, to have gone to university. I'm not really quite sure why, but I think it would have been the experience, the social experience, probably more of anything else. But anyway, I made that decision that I wasn't going to go, and I went out into the world, and I started actually as a secretary, and worked for a fantastic woman who was a great business mentor to me, because that was 18, so I was working from 18 years old when I graduated from high school, and then I met my husband, who was at university. He is English, and he went to university in California. He says I gate crashed his birthday party. In those days, a mini skirt and a bottle of wine was all you needed to get in, so that was okay. And then, so we came across here. We lived in London, and he decided to go on and do a master's degree. And I started as a secretary in an advertising agency, McCann Erickson. And I absolutely loved it. This was in the early 70s. And so it was the days, really, that you could get in at the ground level, and provided you worked hard, you could try your hand at anything, really, in advertising. So I started out as a secretary, and then I went into the media department and became a media planner buyer. And that is planning and buying advertising campaigns. And absolutely loved it, made lots of contacts, really enjoyed the work. But then in 1979, I had my first child, which was Emily. She's now 32. And I decided at that time, one of the areas that I loved working in was magazines. I was very attracted to magazines. So I decided when I had Emily, I took about a year off, that I wanted to go back into the magazine world. So I contacted a national magazine company that produced Cosmopolitan, Good Housekeeping, Harper's and Queen, and found out they had a job in their advertising sales department. So I went in and started doing that, started doing advertising sales, and then very quickly developed another area that they were really launching into at that time, and that was creating advertorials. And advertorials are pages that are created by the magazine in an editorial style, but they're paid for by advertisers. So I set up this team, and it was a combination of both sales and also creative. So I had a creative team working with me, and it was a new development for magazines. It's very big now, but it was absolutely great because it enabled me to work with lots of different companies, see how they brand themselves, how they market themselves. And from the creative side, it meant that I was able to provide creative solutions to promoting their products in the magazine. So loved that, did that for 8 years, I think it was, and then I was headhunted, and I went to work for EMAP, which was another magazine publisher, and became a group publisher with them, working in their mother and baby titles, parents, mother and baby, and recruited new editorial teams and advertising teams. and just really revigorated, that market, because it was a bit in the doldrums at that time. Loved doing that because, again, that was very creative. Brought both of those sides, the creative and the sales side, together, which was great. And then I then decided after about 3 years that I wanted to set up my own company. So that was a big leap of faith, to do. But I had a couple of good clients who were interested in working with me, so I did. I launched the company. And I created advertorials for clients both in the UK and also in the States, so for magazines. And I worked with some fantastic clients, and probably the biggest client was Hello Magazine, and I worked with them for 8 years. And then I went on to work with Richard Branson with a direct sales business, which was called Virgin V. It was a beauty business. And that was, again, totally different departure for me. But, it was a challenge, and I really wanted to do it. So I did that, and I think that was about 5 years. And then I, again, decided to set up my own company, which is the one that I have now, and it's called Inspiring Women. I love working with women, and I've really benefited from working with some extraordinary women throughout my career, from the first mentor, the lady that I mentioned to you, to some fantastic women in publishing and advertising. And so I just wanted to take the culmination of all that experience and use that to help women who are running their own business. And I focus on basically brand identification. And when I talk about branding, I don't mean just a logo. I mean you as a person, you as a brand, and how to sell yourself, helping women gain the confidence to find a voice to their business, because when it is their business, they are the brand. And then on the side, I also have a fashion business that I do as well. So that's a bit of my guilty pleasure, and that's with a French fashion company called Captain Tortue. And that's absolutely brilliant because, again, I use that with styling help with women who are running their own business. But it's fantastic because that's a direct sales business. So I have a lot of contacts locally, and I also run a team of consultants. I help train them as well. And they're about 14 of those women in my team, and they're in London and the Southeast.
So what do you love so much about working for yourself?
I love the freedom that it gives you. I love the fact that you can create any business that you like. And it actually, I think as long as you are true to yourself and true to the talents that you have, and you do it with integrity and honesty, then really, whatever you turn your hand to, you will have a measure of success. I'm absolutely convinced about that. And that's what I love. I love the fact that you can create something yourself and you can control it. It's down to you. It's your destiny. I just think that that's fascinating, and I'd much rather be doing that than have my career in the hands of somebody else. So yeah, that's what I love about it.
And when you were at school, did you know this is the place that you'd end up in now? Because obviously many years ago, it must be hard to make any sort of decision as to go, right, okay, I don't know, 18, 19, 20, and I've now got to make a decision of where I want to be in the future. That's really tough.
Really tough. Yeah, it is really tough. And no, I didn't know. And my family I didn't come from a family that had all gone to university. So my expectations of what I was going to be doing in my working life were really pretty low. I mean, I just wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And as I say, because I didn't enjoy the experience of school, the academic side, the social side I loved, but the academic side I didn't. And quite clearly, it wasn't because I wasn't intelligent, but it was that I think that I didn't really have teachers who really found that little kernel of talent in me that could be, that could blossom. And I think that sometimes was very difficult when you're in school because, there are lots of children, you're going along a route, and we're all very different. Each one of us has very different talents, and those talents grow at different times. Not everybody comes out at 18 and knows what they want to do, or 21, or whatever it happens to be. And I think, it's very important to try as hard as you can to have faith in yourself and try to find a mentor. You know, that person can come from anywhere, and it's somebody that helps you by having belief in you and helps you to find whatever path that is. I also think the other thing is that, you know, when you're 18 or 19 or, you know, in that age, you sometimes think that it's just one decision, one path that you have. And you know what? It isn't. It's just so much fun to say, right, well, okay, right now I'm going to try this. And then 5 years later on, you might try something else. And then 5 years later on, you might try something else. And every time you do anything, any type of work, any type of experience, you're gaining something that you can use. And I think that's the important thing, is to take something positive, even from the negative, you know, experiences that we all have. Not everybody is on a positive all the way through. So take something from every experience and use that, you know, to grow.
So if somebody is having a negative side and they're thinking, you know what, I don't see the way out of here, what advice can you give to keep on going?
Well, I think the thing is that it's really good to actually kind of sit down and, I think, look at the pros and cons. I know it probably sounds very simplistic, but sometimes when you're in a negative situation, all you can see is the negativity. If you can't find the positive in something, then try and find somebody that can. And there are people out there, you know, you might have to ask around a bit, but what you really want to do, I think, is to just have a balanced view and take from even a negative situation, as I say, even if it's the positive thought of I must get out of here, and if I need to get out of here, what do I want to avoid? What do I, you know, what can I take from this that I don't want to do again? And that in itself is a really positive thing, because a lot of people never find that out. They continue to do the same pattern of wrong decisions and wrong jobs and wrong pathways. So it's actually a very strong thing to actually know what you want to avoid as much as you know what you want to do.
So for somebody that's getting to a pathway and they're getting to that junction and they're going, okay, I can go down the safe route,
yeah,
and I can go down and keep going on that cycle, or I can go down the scary route.
Yeah.
And I'm going, oh my God, if I go that way, it's going to be really scary and it might not work out. Yeah. Like, what advice could you give to somebody that's hitting that T-junction?
Well, I think it really depends on the circumstances that they're in. Sometimes it's good to take a safe route. Sometimes it is, because it depends on what's happening in your life. You know, you want to be able to approach every experience, whether it's a job experience, any experience in your life, from, if you like, a point of security. If you have an awful lot of turbulence and stress in your life, then it might not be the time to do something really stressful and totally off the wall. But on the other hand, if you've been safe and you've been going along and you find that nothing is really happening and you're okay, you've got a roof over your head, you know, you've got food on the table, then yeah, why not take a risk? You know, why not do something very different? I mean, I just think that we all need to do that, you know, all of the time. I mean, I think, you know, safe is good, but not forever. You know, it is good to actually try something. And again, this is when it's really good to have a mentor, to have somebody that can just help you and help you along the way when those times, because when you do something a bit edgy or off the wall, it's not, as I say, got to go straight up all the time. It might be a bit turbulent for a while, and it's really nice to have somebody that can just say, you know what, again, take the positive, you know, and just keep going.
Alice, thank you so much for your advice today. Like, I'm sure that these guys will really appreciate it. It's been amazing.
You're so welcome.
Alice Wood for Wozedu.